that would be the, air traffic control routing centers, which, there's Salt Lake City, there's Seattle. In California, I'm not quite sure what San Francisco, I think. And then you're looking at a lot more expense, particularly with the FAA now. They're really charging a lot of money for that radar data. So it's a mixed bag, but in the particular case that Peter is describing, I would first thing request the local approach radar and then go from there. And then, you're never sure what you're going to get. So.
Yeah. You could get involved in a long, long chase and very expensive chase trying to get the data. I've probably submitted a dozen requests under the Freedom of Information Act to the FAA, and it's very frustrating, I find, dealing with them. It often leads to an exchange of correspondence. They want tighter definitions and stipulations, and it's, as you've discovered recently, Bill, it's very expensive. It's
the long-range radar is really really expensive. They have to run a computer program on an IBM mainframe, and what they do, you get the National Transportation Analysis Program, which is, to my knowledge, the only long-range radar program that the FAA has now. And, they charge me here in Montana, and they want a Centroid, and I wound up just going out to 30 nautical miles, and they charge me like $800 just for that data. And it didn't used to be that expensive. One of the real problems with radar data is we used to be able to get good data from the Air Force. It's called the RADS 88. And the Air Force would give you individual long-range radars. And that gives you an advantage because you can look at overlapping data, and if you get multiple hits from multiple radars in the same area, you're looking at something. The problem with that was the RADS 88 is one gentleman, and I won't mention his name because he's been very useful and supportive in analyzing radar data. He saturated them with requests, and they were fielding them out of Hill Air Force Base in Salt Lake or Ogden, Utah, and they got so many requests they forwarded them to Langley. And as soon as they went to Langley, there was no more than 6 months. They shut the door on it. So now the Air Force no longer will respond to civilian radar requests. It was rich data. It was easy to work with. It was very easy to bring into an Excel spreadsheet, and it was good data. I got a situation over here where a B-2 bomber crashed in southeast Montana, and I wanted to see allegedly there were UFO activity in the area, and I got 7 radar sites that overlap that area, and nowadays, you can't get it, and plus it was cheap. A lot of times they didn't even charge you anything. So, unfortunately, that has gone away to just one person, making too many requests, and the privilege got, overextended. So,
that's a shame.
Wow, that's interesting stuff. Well, Bill, it's your turn. You get to bring up one of the reports you'd like to talk about tonight, and then we can chew over that one.
Well, I don't get the volume of reports that Peter does, but I did get a report here recently. This was November 26, 2018 in Columbia, Missouri. The witnesses doesn't have the credentials of the person that Peter talked about, but he saw a silent, what he called translucent V-shaped object, and he estimated it was only 200 to 300 feet in the air, and he said he could determine that because he could see planes in the background, and this object was closer than the planes. It went, obstructed the planes when it was moving through, and he said it had very faint lights on it, and there lights on both parts of the V. So I thought that was an interesting sighting. In addition, he said he only saw it for about 20 seconds, and it was moving straight, and then it moved very fast, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. So I thought that was an interesting case. You know, these V-shaped silent objects, sometimes triangles, sometimes described as triangles, have been seen for years. But this sighting kind of stuck out for me as kind of an interesting case that definitely I would classify as an unidentified. So that's the most recent good case that I've had.
Was this a nighttime sighting, Bill, or was this daytime?
Yeah, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, what do you think of that one, Peter?
It's very interesting, and I'm comparing 8 p.m. Central Standard Time with the time of this sighting over San Pedro, and there's only 2 hours difference between these two sightings, and somewhat similar. I delivered the the illustrations from the witness, the law enforcement officer, to my webmaster. Just checked the website. He hasn't posted them yet, but I'm getting a lot of reports from seemingly reliable people, reliable witnesses of chevron-shaped craft. And later in this program, I'll read a report about such a sighting. People are seeing them all over this country, and
yeah, well, it sounds like
the witnesses are reliable.
It sounds like
I've had a few of those too. Also, odd-shaped craft. This woman in Ogdensburg, New York, on the 14th of November said she saw 4 craft, half-circle shape with a bright light on the bottom. I thought that was kind of a strange case too. They were driving and very strange shape, and she said they were hovering mostly stationary, and she said they would at times change and turn direction, and then they'd hover again. She was supposed to send me a sketch, but I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to have to email her again. I get some of these reports by cell phone, and she texted me that particular report, but I'm going to go back to her and see if I can get a sketch of that. But she said she couldn't find anything online that had a shape like these things do. So, yeah. And I've had these chevron report shape objects too. That not a lot of them, but some. So who knows?
Yeah.
I guess maybe these are the 1918 models coming out.
Well, was this a close proximity sighting of these half circles, do you think, Bill, or was it far away?
She didn't really know how far away they were because she didn't have a background point. But
yeah, okay.
She definitely thought that they were unusual, and this was very much in upstate New York. It's right close to the St. Lawrence river there that separates the U.S. and Canada. There's almost in Canada where they saw these things. So,
yeah.
But,
wow. Close to Stanton Friedman's territory up there.
Absolutely, not too far from where he lives. Yeah, a little bit west of where he is, but not too far away. So,
okay, well,
Betty and Barney Hill territory.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, Peter, you're up next. What do you got for us?
Well, I have a report that's very similar to the one that I just reported from San Pedro. This one is 2 days earlier. This is November 24th, so last Saturday. This is a week ago. This occurred at 3:45 a.m. East Coast time. A gentleman was walking along the beach near Ridgeville, South Carolina, which is, not the beach. This is a different case. I'm sorry, I mixed cases momentarily, but this gentleman came out of work at his auto assembly plant. This is just northwest of Charleston, South Carolina, and he got in his car and he pulled out of the parking lot and he was going towards a highway that would take him to his house, and he looked up ahead several hundred yards, and there was a cluster of very intensely bright strobing lights. And he assumed that they were emergency vehicles. He couldn't see them from where he was for some reason, couldn't see them clearly. And he got up to that area where he had seen the lights just probably less than a minute earlier, and there was absolutely nothing in the intersection. Whereas he had assumed that there had been an accident and there were emergency vehicles with their flashing lights on, he got up there and there was nothing. I cannot ascribe this event to a UFO sighting, but it's not unreasonable to ask what could possibly have caused that if of terrestrial origin. You wouldn't see, or you would expect to see, the emergency vehicles dissipate, drive off after they had been there, but there wasn't enough time for that to have taken place. And I'd like to talk about a similar case, very close to, also from South Carolina. This is the one I thought I was going to address initially, but Surfside Beach, South Carolina, which is in Horry County. Horry County is the easternmost county in South Carolina that projects out into the Atlantic Ocean. On Sunday, I think this is Sunday, the 25th of November, so 6 days ago, a gentleman was out walking on Surfside Beach at 7:30 p.m. This is a beach that he walks regularly and has walked for the last 6 years. And he looked out ahead of him and saw an orange orb just rise seemingly out of the sand, perhaps 200 yards away from him, and rise in the sky slowly and then execute a turn and go drifting off across the Atlantic, disappeared from his sight in under a minute. So probably not a so-called sky lantern or Chinese lantern. Well, he decided to walk down the beach to see what people were doing, and he got down to the area of the beach where the object had launched from, and there was nobody there. And he looked up ahead of himself further down the beach, and another 100 or 200 yards ahead of him, a second orange object appeared to rise out of the sand. He walked down there thinking that the people involved with these launches had moved further down the beach. He got to the second point and there was nobody there. Then he saw a third one rise out of the beach, out of the sand, another 100 or 200 yards ahead. At this point he got a little scared and turned around and went back the other direction. But I cannot share the number of reports, similar reports that I've taken about these peculiar red, orange, and yellow, amber, and gold fireballs. We have no idea what they are.
Oh,
but that's
yeah.
a very interesting sighting.
Well, and I have never heard that someone seeing something actually coming out of the sand or the earth or anything like that. I mean, most people would say, well, I saw something and it landed behind the trees. I didn't know where it went. When I got there, I couldn't see anything. But this is someone repeatedly seeing something coming out of the sand on a beach. That's fascinating.
I would say apparently out of the sand. I know I represented that it was coming out of the sand, but it came off of the beach, and my impression from what he writes is that it had come out of the ground because there was nobody there to launch it. So these are very peculiar sightings, and it underscores the fact that I think we are dealing with an alien technology that is so far beyond what we're accustomed to here on planet Earth that when we see it, it looks more like magic than like conventional technology. But these reports are coming in. People can read those reports on our website. Again, from Surfside Beach, the 25th of November at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Wow! And of course, that's tell them exactly how to get to your website, Peter, so that they can go there and check out some of these reports we're talking about. And we'll do the same thing for you, Bill.
They can just type in UFO